Hey there, modern math teacher. Kristen Moore here, and today we're going to talk about standards. I know that you put them in your lesson plans and you write them up on your board, but do you really know that much about the standards you're teaching your students? And do you know which ones are more important than others? Because I'm here to tell you that not every standard is created equal, and it's okay to spend a different amount of time on each set of standards. Ready to dive in? Let's take a look. Now, if we are looking at our standards, we can start for some of us with the Common Core state standards. You could use your state standards, your country standards, whatever it is, but you've got this big collection of standards that you can go through and you can read all about them, right? Sometimes they're housed nicely on a website, other times you've got this PDF, and it's a lot of things to scroll through, but it gives you some good information about what it is that you are meant to teach. And what I really like, if we're looking at something like the high school standards, which is what I usually teach with, then you get a chance to see which ones in particular are those modeling standards. So here you can see an overview of all of the different things you're required to do for equations and inequalities. And then you can dive deeper into how that's going to connect to functions and modeling, two of the other domains, a quick overview, a reminder of your math practices, and then you get into each of the individual standards. So you've got here, for example, HSA, SSE, seeing structure in expressions, where we want to first interpret the structure of an expression. You can see it's got this nice little star here. And that star is an indicator that this is a modeling standard. This is something that you are going to want to prioritize, that you're going to use to build your mathematical models. So we have all of our standards here. You can get an example of a lot of the different parts of them. But that's only one part of the puzzle. The next piece of the puzzle is knowing, okay, so I know what is involved with teaching them. I maybe know if they are modeling or not, but how do I know what type of math is involved with that? And that's where you have to know something about the domain of rigor. And Louisiana did a great job putting these together. They've got this whole nice little guide here all about the rigor expected, which component it is, what a component means. And you can see all the way back to kindergarten. Is it addressing conceptual understanding? Is it assessing procedural skill and fluency, or is it really looking at an application? And so those three things kind of fall into that model, solve, and analyze category. Modeling tasks, modeling standards are going to address really an application married with some conceptual understanding. How are you going to build a model, a graph, a table, an equation, a function, something to represent the mathematics? Then the solve is really where you're getting into that procedural skill and fluency. How are you going to solve with that mathematics to answer the questions that you want to know? And then the analyze is really focusing in on this conceptual understanding. What do you think about that process? Where is it at? So, okay, we've looked at our standards. We can come here, we can see which domain of rigor they are, how they kind of fit in this model, solve, analyze component of mathematics, and now which ones are going to be more of a priority for us than others. And so you can go here and you can check out the widely applicable prerequisites for a range of college majors, post secondary programs, and careers. This is really exciting for you secondary teachers here because it's going to tell you which strands are going to be the most important and the most useful in a variety of pathways after high school success. You can see in geometry, for example, they are listing the very specific standards that you are going to need to know afterwards. Same thing with stats and probability. Algebra says every domain in this category contains widely applicable prerequisites. That means there is value, inherent value in understanding all of it. And it gives a special note that ASSE, so seeing structure and expressions, the one that we just looked at, is going to be particularly important to you. But that being said, all of that takes a whole lot of time to go through. You have to look at first your standards, then what they work through, like what they're covering, and then which ones are going to be most important. There is definitely an easier way, and I'm here to share that easier way with you. So if you haven't before grabbed my Common Core State Standard High School and Middle School Standards breakdown, then I'm here to show you just how quick and easy it is to look at. So I've got everything here laid out by number, algebra, functions, geometry, statistics. It gives you the exact standard for the Common Core. It tells you which domains of rigor it is focusing on, so conceptual, procedural, etc. Is it a modeling standard? So is it specifically highlighted by the Common Core as one of those modeling standards? And is it a WAP, a widely applicable prerequisite? If you are seeing green and green, this is a lot of things to tell you that this is really going to be something important that you want to address with your students. You can see some of them are a no and then a yes. So it's not really getting into modeling, but it is giving them a good concept. But so that also helps you figure out how you want to do your lesson plan. And that can help you determine the overall importance of a standard. See, you can see some of these are no and no. That's where you can cut it out if you have to. If you can't fit it in, then these are the ones that I would suggest you reduce in size. Maybe you don't cut it out completely, but you can reduce it and focus in on what matters most. So again, you can go through and look at what are all the standards? What do they say we need to know how to do? How can I or like how can I assess my students on it? Is it assessing concepts, procedures, or application? And then how important is this standard? You can go through and do that on your own, but also you can just grab this really nice little guide here and have it for yourself. I've got the same thing set up here for my middle school teacher friends. You'll see that yours is in here by standard and domain of rigor. You don't have widely applicable, but I do have things highlighted in green if they are going to be something that is going to be super important because they address holistically all the domains of rigor. So that's something that you're going to want to focus in on as a middle school teacher. All right, guys, that's it. Make sure that you are taking a look at what your students need to know, how they need to be able to express that knowledge, and how important it is for them to be able to use that knowledge in the future. And those are going to be your priority standards for the school year. So when you're ready to go cut and trim your curriculum, that's what I want you to focus on. All right, guys, until next time, keep it real.